Just so everybody's aware, our first item of business this afternoon is going to be A7. So we're going to go to that first. Sorry about that.
No worries. I'll introduce you, Mayor and Councilman Roman, and then Councilman Merritt is also, looks like he's joining online. So if you guys want to
Is
say
there an
anything-
agenda? Do I need to read the agenda?
No, it's just an incidental form.
Okay. So we're going to begin our meeting this afternoon. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today, both in our council study session here at City Hall as well as online. It looks like we have several citizens who have used our Zoom link to join us. And so we certainly want to welcome all of you as well. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your interest. And we really want everyone to know that City Hall works best when we have involvement from citizens that we represent. So thank you so much. And there may be some more people who join as we move forward. So first, I want to introduce everyone here at the table so we all are aware of who's present at our meeting currently. But again, others may be joining as the meeting progresses. We have Mayor Terry Lynn here with us. Our Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Omar Roman is here with us at the study session table. And I believe we have District 5 Councilman David Merritt, who's joining us virtually. And okay, perfect. Thank you, Councilman Merritt. And we also, of course, have our City Manager Ben Williamson here, and our Deputy City Manager Jawaria Tareen is here at the table. Our City Secretary Stacy Henderson is here. We also have our Assistant Chief of Police and Fire Prevention Tim DeDeer, who is also our Fire Marshal. So Chief DeDeer, thank you for being here, and Deputy Director of Public Works Shane Davis. So Shane, thank you for being here as well. And again, it looks like we have about 4 citizens. And so what we'll do first is I'll introduce, of course, our city council members and see if they have anything to say to begin the meeting. And then we'll ask Chief DeDeer to walk us through what we know so far, what the city has done thus far to investigate these odors that have become more persistent now on the west side for residents and some of our businesses. And we have done quite a bit. So we do know quite a bit, at least about where these odors are and what may be some possible sources. And then once we've gone through that piece, we will open it up to those citizens who have joined us online if there's any questions. And so those of you who are joining online, if you'll just, when we get to that point of the meeting, if you will give me a notice online by raising your hand on the Zoom meeting, I can recognize you one at a time. We'll pull you up here in the meeting. You can ask your question, and then we'll be able to answer that accordingly. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, Mayor, we'd like to start with you. Do you have anything you'd like to say to begin?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're happy that you're here. We want to hear what you all have to say. And please don't be afraid to raise your hand electronically and let us know if you're wanting to say something. Councilman Roman?
I just want to say thanks to everybody who decided to attend tonight's meeting. I know that there were some people who expressed interest in attending, but however, were not able to attend due to some other conflict. Please note that this discussion and meeting will be recorded and available for the public later. And I do have some other remarks, but I will reserve them for later.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mayor and Councilman Roman. Councilman Merritt, did you want to say anything before we begin?
Nothing at this time. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Jeff, are there any other council members that have joined since the meeting started? I just want to make sure we're not missing anyone just in case.
Thank you for asking. Yes, we've got Councilman Tina Bennett Burton, who looks like she's joined, and I'm asking her to unmute. Let's see. Councilman. Oh, perfect. Okay. Councilwoman Bennett Burton, would you like to say anything before we begin the rest of the meeting?
Just good afternoon.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for joining us. So now I'm going to turn the forum over to Assistant Chief DeDeer, and he's going to give us a summary of what we have done so far since this matter was brought to our attention and what we know so far. So, Chief DeDeer.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Council, Mayor, thank you for giving me the opportunity to visit with you on this very important study that we had to do. I'm going to start off. If you know me very well, you know I like to go camping. And just recently, I got to go camping. And one of the things that I like to do when I go camping is make a campfire. And, when I think of campfires, I think of roasting marshmallows, hot dogs, making s'mores, and just making memories with my family. But when I come back, I live in Valley Ranch in Irving, which is just across the Trinity River from where we are. I have the same concerns that you do. And my wife likes to open up the windows at night to get the cool breeze in the house, on these fall days. I told my wife, I said, it smells like a campfire in our house. Now, we're not camping. This is not usual. And so we have to close our windows because we don't want the obnoxious odors of a campfire within our residence. So when the city became aware of these odors on the west side, concerned citizens reached out to council members and our city manager, Ben Williamson. And they reached out to city staff to find out where these odors were coming from. Now, this task could not have been done as quickly if it wasn't for our one team approach here in the city of Farmers Branch. Our city staff members worked very collectively. And first and foremost, I want to make sure we recognize these team members. Our city manager, Ben Williamson, our fire chief, Daniel Latimer, our arson investigator, Brandon Laird, our public works director, Ryan Sarter, our economic director, Allison Cook, our tourism leader, Ann Stokes, our communication director, Jeff Brady, our battalion chief, Jerry Cromer, our administrative captain, Johnny Garcia, our deputy director of public works, Shane Davis, and our solid waste manager, Mike Rivera. I like to go through a timeline from when the city was made aware of the odors and where we are going today with this. On November 29th, which was Wednesday, people were complaining about a strange burning chemical smell persisting throughout the night for quite some time, over a couple weeks. They were concerned about their health for their neighborhood, the children, and the smoke odors appeared only in the evening hours. Thursday, the city management was made aware of this, and they drove Mercer Crossing in the morning and could not find evidence of a smell or a business that might be responsible, but they would follow up in the evening. By Sunday, December 3rd, in the morning, the city management believed the smell was coming from a commercial property that may have been burning trash at or near the Keenan Bridge Road and Luna Road. So Monday morning, the fire marshal's office was informed of the complaints of the smoke odors on the west side. Residents were notifying city elected officials and management regarding these smells. Windermere Way, they were smelling a strong burning smell. But we also had information that there was no odors present in the Kensington area or in Brighton Place. The burning smell around Keenan Bridge Service Center was made aware to us as well. And they were believing that the odor may be coming from the Keenan Bridge Luna Road intersection. So at noon, Chief Latimer and myself went over to Keenan Bridge and Luna Road, and we did not detect any odors present. We spoke with the Dallas Texans representative, which is off Keenan Bridge and Davis, and he stated he occasionally smells burning metal when a neighboring business welds. Now, I went onto the weather app and looked at the weather conditions for Monday, December 4th, specifically in the evening time, because that's when the smells start happening, and it goes throughout the night and typically goes to about 5 in the morning and sometimes even a little bit later. The winds on that day were very, very low, up to 5 miles per hour, typically out of the southeast or east-southeast. So that tells us the smoke odor is not coming from the north in the Carrollton neighborhood. The odor is coming from the south. So Tuesday, December 5th, I drove all the way to Northwest Highway and Luna Road. Now, why you ask why did I go to Northwest Highway? Several years we've been experiencing a place called Living Earth. It's a mulch compost facility, and sometimes they typically have unexpected spontaneous ignition in their mulch piles, which smolder and emit an odor. So I went over there to check it out. The piles were steaming that day, and the winds were out of the south. I went back in the evening over to Keenan Bridge and Luna just to rule out the evening smells to see if any activity was occurring. Now, businesses on Keenan Bridge were secure and dark. There was no odors coming from this area. As I drove to the west on Valley View towards the Irving area, a strong smell of burning leaves and wood was present along the Trinity River. For Tuesday evening, the winds were out of the south-southeast, 6 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday morning, Allison Cook, our economic director, received information from Ann Stokes from tourism that the Hampton Inn and Suites located at 1570 Mira-Lago filed a complaint. They said the smell had been going on for several weeks per their management, and it was affecting their customers. So investigator Brandon Laird and myself walked the entire John Burke Preserve to check for signs of a burning campsites or any homeless encampments that might have been down on the river bottom. Because that's when I was driving towards my house, I noticed that strong smell on the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
We searched the entire park. There was no signs of any homeless encampments or any signs of any burning whatsoever. On Wednesday, the winds were out of the east-northeast from 6 to 7 miles per hour. I went ahead and drove around the city of Dallas in the morning and the afternoon hours, south of Royal Lane, all the way to Walnut Hill, west of I-35, but east of the Trinity River. Now I'm going to pull up a map of the area that I'm talking about here. So if you look up here, this is the area around that my pointer's pointing to is the Keenan Bridge, Luna Road area where the first suspicious activity that the thought might be coming from, and it was cleared. We were getting a smell in the Windermere Way area, but no smells in these particular areas when notified. This is our preserve that we ended up walking and checking. This is the Hampton Inn down here just at 635 in Mira-Lago. And this is Luna Road that goes south. And when we get to this intersection, that is our city limits, which is Royal. Just on the southwest corner of Royal, you have the golf course, the Luna Vista Golf Course. And then this is all the city of Dallas. So we proceeded down, and I made my way over towards 35 and came down Goodnight Lane, which runs parallel to 35. And I came up to an encampment site that did have active homeless activity there. But there was no fire or smoke detected in that area. That encampment area is near the Liquid Environmental Solutions at the intersection of Walnut Hill and Goodnight Lane. We also had a report that maybe a smell was coming from the Hensley industrial site. It's on Joe Field Road, just south of Royal. And it was identified by our Public Works Director, Ryan Sarter, as a possible location. Drove there many a times just to make sure nothing was coming from Hensley, and there was no fire or smoke smell coming from that area. I made my way back down to Luna Road and proceeded south, and I was hitting some strong pockets. This area right here is known as Y Street, Z Street in the city of Dallas, just across the street from the municipal golf course. Y Street and Z Street, there's a business called the Mountain Stone Supply. I pulled in there, and they were burning pallets behind a rock wall. And so I stopped to visit with the business representative, and I asked him, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And he said, "We burn pallets that are damaged, and they process stone to be sent out." And I said, "Well, we're getting odors in our city, and is this something that y'all do at night?" And he said, "No, we close the business at 5 o'clock, and everybody goes home. There's no burning at night." I said, "Okay." And so I went across the street to Luna Golf Course, and they were receiving many complaints from their golfers. And this had been going on for a couple of weeks, according to the pro. They believed the smell was coming across the street as well, but they were only aware of the large business over there called Vulcan Materials, which is located next door to the Mountain Stone Supply location. I went ahead and decided to go down Royal into Irving and drove the Irving area just to see if I could smell anything on this side to rule it out. There was no detection of any smoke or odors of burning material on the Irving side. That afternoon, our solid waste manager, Mike Rivera, drove and checked out 3 compost sites in the city of Dallas in the vicinity, one being the
Living Earth.
Living Earth, thank you. And then we have a place that's right here called, Soil Building Systems, and they're on Walnut Hill. And then there was another one just south of there, a very small one. What Mike noticed was he found those compost or mulch piles smoldering. So that evening, and when I say evening, I mean pretty late, I recruited my battalion chief and administrative captain to let's take a drive together in the south into Dallas to see if we can find something late at night burning in the area. So we proceeded down and we went back down to the Y and Z Street intersection. And there was no burning taking place. But what we did notice was the trench was filled with water. And so if you have any burning material that's sitting in water, it makes the water smell like burning material. Well, that water was going down a ditch down to a creek bed on Y Street, which that creek flows through the golf course, which goes to the Trinity River. So that whole area was contaminated inside the creek in the ditches. And with the south winds being in the Trinity River, that's, I believe, is being pushed up the Trinity River. We also drove several streets in the area just to see if we could find anything. And that was the only smell that we can pinpoint was the Y and Z intersection area. So the next morning, city manager Ben Williamson and deputy director of public works Shane Davis and I drove to Luna and Royal, and we smelt the same thing, decaying wood in pockets. We drove to the Z Street area and we observed smoke coming from the burning pallets again. We also drove the entire area to recap what staff had identified this past week. And we observed at the 2100 block of Walnut Hill, Soil Building Systems, they had the smoldering fire in multiple mulch mounds. Davis filed a complaint that was submitted to the TCEQ and also in conclusion notified the city of Dallas environmental health manager. Now I contacted the Dallas Fire Rescue Fire Marshal's office and talked to Chief Dwight Freeman. And I also filed a complaint, one for open burning of pallets in the 1700 block of Z Street. I asked Chief Freeman, did they have any permits to burn? He said no permits were issued. He would send an inspector to do an investigation. And so they were also going to investigate the mulch smoldering situation at the 2100 block of Walnut Hill at Soil Building Systems. On Friday, December 8th, I received an email from Chief Freeman. They did contact several businesses, and they only located a small burn barrel at the site of Z Street. They didn't see what we saw. They were still making efforts to address the mulch facility at Living Earth and Soil Building Systems, and the smoldering fires that were and any other maybe possible smoldering fires that may be occurring at those locations. So from a city standpoint, the 2 locations that are identified as potential sites for creating these odors would be adjacent to Luna Road and Y Street, and also the Walnut Hill mulch facility. So I'll be glad to turn it over to Shane if he has any things that he would like to address from an environmental standpoint.
Shane Davis, Deputy Director of Public Works. So yeah, to continue on with what Tim said, after going to Living or Soil Building Systems with Tim and the city manager, Ben Williamson, that day I filed a complaint with TCEQ. So Soil Building Systems is a composting mulching facility. They have a registration, which is a type of permit with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. I also filed a complaint through the city of Dallas using their 311 app. TCQ immediately sent my complaint to the city of Dallas, and I got a call from their environmental manager the following morning, Friday morning afterwards. And we spoke, and he acknowledged that Soil Building Systems had a fire on their property for some time now. They're aware of it. The concern was they broke the pile apart to address it more aggressively. They'd have an even bigger fire on their hands. So currently they were watering, trying to take whatever steps they could to safely address the fire. But there has been one going on for some time with Soul Building Systems. That is not allowed by their registration. If you look at the TCQ regulations, which I can show you.
And Shane, while you're pulling that up, can you
Yes,
talk about who TCEQ is and
Yes.
the purpose they serve as an organization?
So the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, for any solid waste facility, or in this case, it's a processing facility is the term that's used. You have to have either a permit or registration or notification for these type of facilities, depending upon what you're composting or mulching. They're in the middle tier, their registration. So they have to file an application with TCQ. TCQ reviews it, makes the approval or denial. In this case, they've approved it. And they also periodically inspect the site for infractions, make sure they're complying with their permit. But that is their role. They're the regulatory agency for these type of facilities. The City of Farmers Branch owns Camelot Landfill. We fall underneath the same regulatory requirements as this place, just ours are more stringent because we're a landfill, not a composting mulching facility.
Go ahead.
Shane, so I'm very well familiar with Living Earth Technologies.
Yes, sir.
I've been there many times. I've been there with you also.
Yes, sir.
And that's a business that's been in existence for many, many years. In fact, a very good friend of mine owned that business for many, many years. And I think he is serving as the managing director. They do not burn at Living Earth. However, if you're familiar with compost, it does get very, very hot. And, when they load up vehicles, you
Mhm.
will see
Steam.
heat,
Yep.
and in the wintertime, you'll see steam
Yep.
coming off of this mulch that is very hot, especially when they dig into these piles. But because that's been there for so long, I don't believe that would be that they would be a cause of this issue.
Any place could experience a fire. The question is how close you're monitoring, how often you're turning. I will tell you the fire at Solar Building Systems that we've seen is not in their process. So by process, it hasn't been ground up yet. This is just raw material that's come in.
Okay.
Everything has sat there so long that the heat has gotten hot enough inside there that a fire has occurred within that pile with Solar Building Systems.
Hmm.
It can occur anywhere, but that's the whole point. You got to be on top of your material if you're going to do a composting mulching operation. And so we can see the pile. There's two. If you drive to the site today, you'll probably see at least two areas where smokes, you got visible emissions coming out of the pile. I went down there 2 days ago just to double check, see if anything had happened over the weekend after the complaint and the discussion with the city of Dallas. That a guy actively watering the top of the pile, and one was on smoldering. So not how I'd have done it, but it's their staff. He's on top of the pile, watering on top. So I'd have done it from the side and shot up over the top. He's a little safer. So
So
we're actively addressing it, but all they're using is water. They were not breaking the pile apart at all.
Okay.
So you're still probably have that same smoldering effect for quite a while.
Yeah.
Until you douse the entire amount of water enough for the pile to,
Yeah.
to put out the fire.
So, well, we understand that. That's
Right.
something that they need to be advised of. And I'm just curious, Tim and Shane, Dallas was certainly willing to hear our concerns and investigate.
Yes.
That was no issue with that. Okay, very good. Very good.
Yeah. No, Dallas said they've been out there before, so this was not news to
Okay.
the person I talked to.
Okay.
But if I'm going somewhere, it's TCEQ because that's where they have the permit. And here's the regulation on the screen it's pretty clear. Reduce
And-
potential nuisances or fire hazards, and you must address them immediately.
And Shane, how sure are we that the smell is coming from there? And I ask because at the last time that I guess the first time that an issue had been brought to me was maybe about a week and a half ago
Mhm.
about a burning smell. We suspected that it might have been a Farmers Branch business
Right.
near the area. The smell continued, and it was coming from the south, as it was reported to us. And upon further investigation, we realized it's not even in our city; it's somewhere else. So I just want to know how sure are we, just for the reliability of the information? I'm sure many people are probably wondering the same thing.
So as Tim mentioned, wind direction matters a lot when it comes to odors. For a period of there, we were out driving around, the winds were out of the north. So you probably weren't getting that burning wood smell consistently. Once they tend to come back out of the south, if I had to guess, that's when you're seeing this uptick in odors in the city. Well, if there's another site out there, we have not found it yet, but these are the two ones that match the smell we've detected ourselves within the city limits of Farmers Branch, and that's that burning wood, kind of rotted wood that's burning smell that we've detected. And to me, the most largest source is going to be Soul Building Systems to this date.
Yeah.
There may be another one out there, Councilman, but so far we have not found it.
Yeah.
Do y'all feel pretty, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, is there a reasonable expectation as to when this might stop? Obviously, this is not something that we can control because number one, it's not in our city,
Correct.
and it requires number one on another city to do their job, but also requires for the business to do the right thing as well. So,
Right.
but any idea as to
It depends how
what
aggressive they're
residents might
being
be
with the amount of water they're applying. And they have a water truck on site, and that's what they're using out there as the hose off the water truck to spray on top of the pile. How much during the day they're doing it, don't know. I just sporadically drive by and look and see what's going on. So they could be stopping the moment I leave. I'm not in a city truck. I'm on my personal vehicle going by.
Or-
And the odors were present last night as well.
Yeah.
So still have.
Still happening. But given the size of that pile, sir, it's going to take a lot of water.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just say that for the residents who might continue to experience this, please do continue to let us know that this issue is still happening. But let's work together in a collaborative manner to try and figure out that, to try and address it. So if you can take down the time that it happened, that you smelled it, the date that it happened, the location you were at, what it smelled like, and potentially any other details or even the direction that it was coming from, if you can tell, that is all helpful and pertinent information so that we can take that and try and investigate. And if it's the same place, then that will just double and triple confirm that that's where it's coming from. And if not, it gives us an idea as to where else to look. And I think you've got also a resource on where residents might be able to make a complaint, right,
Yes.
Shane?
So on the screen, and I think Jeff's
Yes.
also going to put it in the chat as well.
Yes, it's on the chat now.
So if you go to the website in the chat, this is what you'll see. You can just take your phone with the QR code there, and it'll take you to the website to file a complaint with TCEQ.
And Mayor and Council, I'd also like to say that we have about 15 people now who have joined us virtually. And so I'd like to ask our citizens, if any of you have questions, if you will just indicate that. I think you have a tab on your computer. You should have a tab where you can raise your hand digitally and indicate that you have a question. We'll recognize you as a panelist, and you'll be able to join the meeting virtually and ask your question if you choose to do so.
And so here's just for everybody that's online. Here's the address of the location if you need it. If you want
You
their
feel-
actual ID number, it's the 100-491 down here below. That's their processing registration number.
Shane, you feel pretty confident that you all have isolated where this is coming from? Very
We'll
good.
keep checking, but the size of the pile, yes, sir.
Okay. So again, residents, if anybody has a comment or concern that you'd like to share, now's the time to do that. And I would invite you to do so by signaling so on your computer.
Jeff, would you go ahead and call on the other two council members as well?
I had
Yes.
signaled the
Okay.
attorney on.
Hold on one second. Hold on.
Jeff, would you go ahead and call on Councilwoman Burton and Councilman Merritt as
Yes.
well? I just want to make sure we give them an opportunity if they have anything before we go to our residents for questions or-
Absolutely.
Sorry, I forgot.
Councilman Merritt and Councilman Bennett Burton, do either of you have comments you'd like to make at this time?
I will defer, this is David, I will defer to the other council members. I'm just observing and I appreciate our staff's involvement and due diligence in identifying the odors and addressing them in the manner that they've described. So no further comments from me at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Bennett Burton?
Are there any other communities that have complained about the smell
I couldn't.
that we know of? I know that's hard to know, but have there been?
She's asking if we know of any other communities that have complained or made similar complaints about these odors.
Well, as Chief DeDeer said, we heard from the golf course. We've heard from different business owners. We've heard from our business owners south of 635 in Farmers Branch, Hampton Inn and Suites complained as well. So we've heard from multiple locations, but other cities Las Colinas is right there. I was surprised we haven't heard anything from them since they're due west, but a lot of it's wind direction. Southwest to northeast is the way it tends to push in most situations. So that's what we're experiencing. And it's also a factor of the timing of the different inputs that are causing the smell. So it's a unique timing situation, which is late at night. Calls come in, it's 10 at night or 5 in the morning. It's never at 9 in the morning, right? So it's one of those that it's a unique set of variables. I have not gotten any feedback from our neighbors, most likely because it's recognized that it's not coming from Farmers Branch. If it was coming from Farmers Branch and we were pushing out to other cities, I know they would be reaching out to us, but because it's not coming from Farmers Branch, that's probably why we haven't heard concerns from other cities at this point in time that I'm aware of. Shane and Tim, if you've heard anything, I don't believe you have, but no, it's Dallas to Farmers Branch is the direction.
Yeah, and it's also
Okay,
heading into
thank
Valley
you.
Ranch where I live.
Okay.
And Richard's online as well.
Oh, perfect. Let's see.
Okay. Richard, do you have anything?
Let's
Councilman
see.
Jackson?
Let me see. Hang on just a second. I don't see him. Some of these, oh, here we go. Let me see if I can ask him to unmute. Councilman Jackson, would you like to add anything at this point?
Okay, now you can hear me great. So I may have missed this. I joined a few minutes late, but my question is, do we know if the odors or whatever is in the air, is this of a dangerous makeup, health hazard, or is it more just a nuisance and smelly?
Councilman, if they're following their registration, they should be only taking clean wood at that facility. If so, then it is burning wood that's creating the problem. The material just appears to have sat there for quite a while and decomposition is occurring. But if you look through the processing rules, they're only allowed clean wood. So as far as their wood feedstock.
Okay, so frankly, no different than what you might smell coming from someone's fireplace.
Correct. It'd be like if you took, and I have I have a fire pit in my backyard. And if I take a piece of wood that's been sitting on the ground the whole time, it's got some rot already associated with it, and I throw that on my pile, it's a very similar smell I get in my fire pit. It's not pleasant, but that's what they should only be accepting. Unless they have something else that's not clear on the website, but wood stock should just be clean wood they're taking. Not supposed to be taking treated wood or anything with any chemicals attached to it.
Okay, so the issue here is that the business is not permitted to have a burn of clean wood?
They're not, no, you're supposed to address that immediately. You're supposed to take immediate action to put the fire out.
Okay, all right, then that's the difference then between my fireplace and, their business.
Yeah, just to give them the size and the magnitude of the piles down there. If you ever happen to just have nothing else to do during the daytime, you can take a swing by and see the size of the pile. But they're quite large.
Yeah, I've seen it before, I
Okay.
can imagine. Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. We have citizen Brian Scrutch. Brian, who's been waiting patiently here to ask a question.
Unmute.
Unmute.
Oh, you'll need to unmute. Sorry.
All right,
There we
now
go.
we should hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. And my actual question was really just that you said you posted where you wanted it to go in the chat, and I didn't see that. I see now the TCEQ one, but if we're just odors, is there someplace you want us to go in the city to report those as you contract? this out?
FBTX Connect is the best way to let us know. We see those on a daily basis.
Yes, Brian, thank you for your question. We have an app that would help you do that, probably the most efficient way, and we can get that information to you. I'll put that specifically up in the chat as well.
Okay, good, glad you're. And just while you were talking, my wife works at Ranch View High School, which is just over in Valley Ranch, and she has smelled the odors over there. So that's just on the other side of that Sam Houston Park. So, I'll have her keep track, and I will too, to report things that occur. But great job to everyone. I was really impressed at how thorough you have looked at this. When I first heard it, I thought this would be a great science fair project for some high school kids to go around and smell, but you've already done the work. So thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
Up
let's
next.
see, we've got Lauren. Let's see, she has raised her hand and okay, Lauren, here you are. Lauren, can you hear me?
Yes.
And do you have a question for us?
Yes, I can hear you and I have a question.
Okay.
I want to start with thank you so much. I feel like y'all have put in a lot of effort to this and I really do appreciate that. As both a person living in the city, as a parent, as a physician and a pediatric subspecialty, I definitely take this very seriously and worry about the health effects, both short term and long term. I still feel concerned. I don't think we necessarily, from what y'all are saying, know exactly what the smell is or exactly what is being burned, even if it, best case, it sounds like, is clean wood. I'm not sure that when it's so pervasive and on a daily basis, long term, that in itself is safe long term, to the extent that it has been. But if it's not that, I think that I would appreciate continued efforts to actually pin down what it is and if we would be able to find out what exactly it is so we can make those health decisions. I see that on one of the Dallas websites, there are air monitors spread throughout the city. Does Farmers Branch have something similar? And are we looking at these air monitors to see what our air quality is in this past few weeks?
We just had the one around Brookhaven, I think. It's the only air monitor I'm aware of in Farmers Branch. And I can reach out to my colleague in the city of Dallas that spoke with them to see what they are actually monitoring with their air quality monitors and get some better information on that. So I will do that.
Thank you. So I think that would, not just for health, I guess long-term real estate and everything, but I'm definitely much more concerned about health, be an important thing to know what our air quality is looking like as a city.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren.
Real quick, Jeff, could we
Yes.
get Lauren's contact information so we know how to follow up with her? That's kind of where I don't want to leave this as an open one. So if you could, Lauren, if you don't mind sending that through the chat, an email address or something, so we can follow up with you, that would be helpful. Or if you just want to email the city, please do through the app, just some way of connecting with you, so that way we know how to reach back to you, so we can answer your question.
I believe we may already have her email address.
We do? Okay,
Yes, sir.
perfect. Just making sure.
You do, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. We have about 12 to 14 other people who have joined the call who are listening in. So everyone, if you have any questions, here's a question. Let me see here. This is, pardon me if I mispronounce your name. Gurubaran. Let me allow him to, let's see, takes just a minute. Don't see him popping up here. Oh, he may have.
Hey, can you guys?
Oh, here he is. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to speak. And,
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate it. I heard the thorough investigation. In fact, like other people said, I was surprised how thorough you were, and all the information was really good. But one thing I wasn't really sure or clear is that, and as one of the councilmen said, like it's happening in a different city limit, so it's not in our control. But I didn't hear any timelines on fixing this or anything like that. I also had a question on the health concerns, which previous person would weigh, so that is cleared. But I still not really clear on the timelines on kind of nailing it down and fixing it or something like that. Even my concern is more of a health concern. There might be people with respiratory issues or things like that. Going on morning walks, it will be an issue for them. So that's a really concern. But I really appreciate all this thorough feedback and investigation. If somebody could give me clarity on that, that'll be.
I wish I could give you a definitive timeline on this because it's out of our control, not in our jurisdiction. It's going to be up to TCEQ in the city of Dallas. That's why I showed you the complaint location on the TCEQ website. I would say ramping up the complaints to the agency so they understand it's not just one or two people complaining, but there's multiple that's impacting a lot of you. That goes a long ways. I can tell you from the landfill side, that gets a lot of traction the more complaints they get for a particular issue. That is where their permit is held, is by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. They are the regulatory agency for this site. So I would encourage everyone, each one of you residents, to file a complaint with the agency, and probably also at the city of Dallas. I've submitted one, Tim submitted one to us from the city. we can keep submitting them as a city, but at some point in time, it's just hearing from 2 people in the city. So the more differing bodies that report this, the more attention it's going to get.
Okay. Thank you, Shane. We also have a question from Patrick. Patrick, go ahead.
Hi, this is Patrick and Dorset at the Hampton Inn and Suites.
Yes, sir.
Okay, couple things. One, has anyone went out to the Ready Mix plant?
The ready mix
Ready
plant, I
Mix
believe.
Ready Mix plant.
It's
It's
the-
the cement plant right across the golf course.
Yes,
Mm.
that the Vulcan Materials, and there's Big City just to the east of them. We did drive by those locations multiple times, did not get any detection of any odors or smoke coming from those sites. But
Okay,
again,
this
like I mentioned in the presentation, next to Vulcan Materials is where the Mountain Stone Supply location is located, and that's where we did detect them burning pallets on multiple days.
Okay, because the amount of haze you see on certain nights with a low southeast wind or low south wind, that's not just some pallets. I mean, that's some heavy duty stuff being. I mean, you could burn probably 100 pallets, and yeah, you might get a little smoke somewhere, but to create that kind of haze, that's pretty heavy duty. So I don't know. It can be some pallets, but anyways,
Yeah.
it's
Next.
always late at night. It's never during the day, and it's from one direction. So if you ever have a wind from the north, you'll never smell it. And so the other thing is, if it's a City of Dallas thing by letter of the law, who can we get a hold of besides the TECQ, whatever? Who else can we get a hold of the City of Dallas to look at what's going on since it's the City of Dallas?
And that's their environmental quality department. It's sustainability and environmental quality for the city of Dallas. I will tell you your best way, because I spend a lot of time trying to go through their website, make phone calls that got me nowhere. I use their 311 app to file my complaint with the city of Dallas. So I just go to file a complaint on their website. And that's how I got contacted by the city of Dallas the next day.
Yeah, and I've spoken to the TECQ people, and they also mentioned that all they can do is monitor the smoldering of these wood chips. But again, if you have these businesses that have been there, and then all of a sudden something's happening late at night, something's still fishy. The mulch it doesn't have an alarm clock, so it can't say, all right, it's 8 a.m. Let's stop the smoke. So whatever the business is doing, they're obviously stopping after a certain shift because the smoke's gone. So anyways, yeah, it affects us business wise, but the facts are it's late at night and it's with a southeast wind, and it's coming from technically City of Dallas, and whether it's the mulch plant, the ready mix, the whatever mix concrete plant next to it. So I guess let's say tomorrow night at 10 p.m. the haze is there. What do you want us to do? Can somebody come by? Because we've tried calling the police department and they've admitted yes they see the haze, but they won't do anything because it's the City of Dallas.
We do have a phone number for City of Dallas Air Quality that Jararia Tareen found, and so very helpful. And I've posted it in the chat. It's a 214 number. You can reach the City of Dallas Air Quality office at that number.
What is the number?
214-948-4435.
Okay. There's one down there, somebody's personal cell phone number that the city of Dallas has not removed from their website yet, too. And he's retired.
Okay. Well,
I
hopefully
talked
it's
to him
not
too.
that. Okay.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Did you have any other comments?
No, I just hope we put an end to it soon. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We've got some questions also in the chat. There's one from an anonymous attendee. It says, have any other non-Mercer Crossing neighborhoods complained of a similar smell?
I've not been made aware of anybody.
Okay. There's another question from Zubin Shah, who says, I would like to only clarify that the Kensington residential area, he says, I live on Cathedral Drive, definitely was having a significantly appreciable and disturbing campfire type odor as described. I'll be sure to note the date, time, and exact location henceforth. So we'll be keeping a record there. And then one more from Nick James, who says, when we file a complaint with the TCEQ, should we put our home address where we smell the odor or the address of soil building systems?
Yeah, they need to put their address. And I would highly encourage everybody to put their own address. You can identify in the body of your message where you think the odor is coming from. But right now, I don't know if we have 100% definitive proof that all odor is coming from SBS. But you can say that it is coming from, you believe that it is coming from the south to the north, and and identify it as that. And we'll let the proper authorities investigate.
Because they'll ask for, in the complaint form, ask for an address if you know where that long, so they know where to start looking. So they do ask for that kind of right up front. It's one of the first couple questions they'll ask you. And then if you want to be followed up or contacted, they'll ask for your personal contact info.
So Shane, yes, put the address. Is that correct or no?
At least give them a general description if you want to say this part of Dallas.
Okay, perfect.
You can use that if you want to try and give them a description.
So
I gave them a specific address based on what I saw.
I would say the Northwest Dallas area, or maybe the Walnut Hill and Stemmons corridor or something to that effect.
Luna Road 35, that area.
Yeah.
Some cross streets would be helpful.
Okay. Councilman Jackson, did you want to add something as well?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Just to go back and clarify on the question of, have other communities complained about this odor? Is it just the Mercer Crossing area? You did mention earlier that the golf course pro over, I think it's LB Houston, had they had received some feedback or complaints from some of their patrons, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And have we talked with or tried to reach perhaps the Irving City Council rep or reps that are responsible for, let's say, the Valley Ranch or Las Colinas area, or maybe speak with homeowners associations over there? I know there are a couple of neighborhoods that have HOAs, because I'm wondering if maybe there are some complaint activity over there that could add to the effort.
Richard, I'll speak on that. I live in Valley Ranch near Ranch View High School, and I also sit on a board for an HOA. And yes, several of my neighbors in the community have addressed the concern for the odors as well. So it's just as prevalent over there as it is in Farmers Branch. And but I have not reached out to my council person in Irving. I'm not sure if anybody else has either.
Okay. I mean, you guys have done a great job. Really, again, echo some of the other attendees' comments. What a great, thorough job of trying to track down the source. Seems like I kind of agree with the mayor that it may not all be this one business. There may be a couple of contributing factors here. But great job in putting together the session and delivering some good investigative detail. I might suggest perhaps joining forces with Irving City Council and the HOAs on this, if we feel like that will yield faster, more effective results.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Jackson. There's a couple of comments in the chat that have come up from Guru Baran Ramalingan. He spoke just a minute ago, and he's added in the chat that he agrees with Patrick. He says, I have noticed the haze in the Lunar Royal Junction in the mornings, just like clockwork. So it's occurring on a regular basis. And then there is another chat comment that we want to mention. This is from Patrick, I believe, who we spoke with just now. And he says, according to the web, the burning of pallets can cause breathing problems, and prolonged exposure may contribute to long-term health issues.
Pallets are treated wood, so I
Right.
would agree with him. But that doesn't, they're not supposed to be accepting that at solar building systems.
Okay. So it looks like we still have about a dozen people. Is there anybody else who is on our virtual meeting who would like to ask a question or contribute a comment? We have 13 attendees at this time. I don't see any other people who are indicating they have a comment.
Well, then, seeing no further comments, unless council has any comments, and I'll ask Councilman Merritt if he has anything to say at this time.
Nothing
Followed
to
by-
add, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Bennett,
No, sir. Thank you.
thank you. Councilman Jackson,
No further comment. Thank you, Mayor.
very good, thank you. Councilman Roman.
Yes, I just want to thank the staff for taking your time to do this. I know that even you didn't have the leisure sometimes of driving to City Hall and picking up a city vehicle, and you just drove in your own vehicle to go and investigate it. Late hours in the evening, early hours in the day, and then throughout your day, while you've got a lot of stuff going on in the city, you took the time to investigate an issue of great concern to our residents. I think you guys went above and beyond. I think it was demonstrated by the thorough research that you guys presented. And I think this just continues to further demonstrate that our city is different than others and that we certainly do provide world-class service.
Thank
That's
you.
it. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilman. I guess in closing, I would like to thank everybody who took time out of their day to jump on this Zoom. I would suggest that if you continue to have issues and smell the odor and whatnot, in addition to reaching out to the resources that were mentioned earlier, please just copy your council representative so they're in the loop also. We will continue to have discussion on this and keep an eye on it. Thank you to fire and environmental services and the rest of our staff that participated in this. And I will adjourn this meeting at 4:52.
Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thank you.
When the local teacher at the elementary school is able to buy a house, 2 blocks away from their home. It goes in favor of all community development practices and policies. Is that when people are able to live where they work, when people are able to return back to the neighborhood where they grew up in, it makes for a tighter, more engaged neighborhood.